Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 6, entitled Conversation between Srila Narad Muni and Sri Vyasadeva, text 25. Ye tavadutvo uktvo paramarama tanmahad bhutam nabho lingamalingam aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase शीर्ष्णावनां मम vidadhenu kampitaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charana Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation Srila Narad Muni continued, then that supreme authority personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. That the personality of Godhead was not seen but only heard does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So we are seeing in this chapter conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. Narad Muni spoke about his past life experience, and through this narration, Narad Muni is trying to impress upon the point that devotional service is the highest perfection of one's life, and one can become a devotee only by association of a pure devotee, by the blessings of a pure devotee spiritual master. And if one diligently follows the instructions given by the pure devotee spiritual master, one will be able to surely perceive the Lord within one's heart. These are the points that Narad Muni wants to impress upon Srila Vyasadeva so that he compiles Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about the process of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord in the association of devotees. So, Narad Muni in the previous verses had explained how he, as a boy, when he was just 5 years old boy, his mother passed away, but by then he was already initiated into the process of devotional service by the Bhakti Vedantas, and because of this, he had spiritual strength and knowledge. So he was not at all disturbed upon understanding that his mother is no more there to care and support for him. So even though he was just a 5-year-old boy, he traveled northwards, understanding that it is the Lord's plan for him to become more detached, that his mother has passed away. So he started traveling northwards, and on the way he came across mountains, forests, rivers, towns, villages, and many other such things. Then he actually went to the forest and he started engaging himself in tapasya as per the instructions given by the Bhakti Vedantas, the pure devotees. And within a short time, Narad Muni was able to actually experience the ecstasy. He was able to experience the bhava stage. He was able to perceive the presence of the Lord within his heart. He was able to see the four-handed Vishnu form who is seated in our heart, in everybody's heart as Paramatma. This Vishnu form is actually an expansion of Krishna, a partial, a plenary representation, plenary expansion of Krishna. So, through the process of mystic yoga coupled with bhakti yoga, he was able to perceive the presence of the Lord within his heart, because of which he became very ecstatic and he was actually floating in an ocean of bliss. And while he was beholding the form of the Lord within his heart, all of a sudden, the Lord actually unmanifested. He disappeared from the vision. So Narad Muni, the boy in his previous life, Narada, was just closing his eyes. He was seeing this Lord within his heart. But all of a sudden, the Lord disappeared. And because of this, the meditation broke. He opened his eyes. He stood up in anxiety. He was not able to see the Lord anymore. He was actually very much disturbed. And he was so eager. So he tried his best. Again, he closed his eyes. He sat down, tried to again fix his mind on the Paramatma within the heart. He was trying to perceive the form of the Lord within his heart. But repeatedly, in spite of trying, he was not successful. He was not able to see the Lord. So, seeing this intense eagerness of the boy to perceive the Lord, the, the Lord, the Supreme Lord, started speaking. He did not appear in front of him, but he just spoke. He said that I have actually decided to unmanifest from your meditation because I wanted you to become more eager to achieve me. So you go on rendering devotional service to me in eagerness, and that is the way that you will also come back to me. You will become one of my associates. In this way, the Supreme Lord spoke. This we had seen till the last Wednesday. We had seen up to here. Now we shall continue the verse that we read just now, verse 25 of this chapter. Narad Muni is continuing his narration to Srila Vyasadeva. So he says, Etavad uktvo pararama tan mahat. Etavat, thus, uktva, spoken, upararama, stopped. The Lord, after speaking this much, he stopped speaking to me. Tat means that, mahat bhutam, that great, wonderful personality of Godhead, who is Nabhaha Lingam. He is the personified, he is personified by sound. There is no difference between the Lord and his speech. In fact, the entire Vedas are nothing but the speech of the Lord manifested through his breath. So he is called Nabhalingam and he is called Alingam. Lingam means form. Alingam means one who has no material form. Or as Prabhupada translates here, one who is unseen by the material eyes. He is called Alingam. He is Ishwaram. Ishwaram means the supreme controller. And Aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase. Aham, I, tasmai, unto him, mahatam, the great, mahiyase, unto the one who is glorified by everybody. Shirshna avanamam vidadhe. Shirshna means by the head. Avanamam means offered obeisances, bowed down. I executed. Vidadhe means executed. Anukampitaha, being favored by him. So Narad Muni is saying, after speaking this much, the supreme authority, the supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, personified by sound and unseen by material eyes, but who is the most wonderful personality, stopped speaking, and I felt a great sense of gratitude. Therefore, with my head bowed down, I offered my obeisances unto him. This is what Narad Muni spoke. So, some important points Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Actually, many times people say in this world, we come across people saying, can you show me God? I want to see God. Please show me. People are very eager to see God, but very little do they understand that currently we are not qualified to see Him because we are not equipped with the right knowledge, with the right conclusion, right understanding about the Lord, and our present material eyes are also not qualified to see Him. Even if Krishna comes in front of us, in front of our eyes, we will fail to recognize Him if we are not qualified to understand who He is. Just like 5,000 years ago, Krishna was very much present on this very planet. So many people saw him physically. The Pandavas saw, the Kauravas saw, so many other personalities saw. But not everybody could understand the actual position of Krishna. That means the act of physically seeing God is not the actual way of seeing God or Krishna. Physically seeing is not at all the way to see the Lord. One has to see the Lord through the eyes of knowledge and bhakti. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. It is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita. Those who are pure devotees of the Lord, their eyes are tinged with the ointment of pure love, and through the eyes of bhakti and prema, they perceive the presence of the Lord everywhere, every moment. They see the beautiful Shama Sundara form of the Lord. That means the physical act of seeing, about which we are so proud when we ask the question, can you show me God? That means there is an assumption that I am so qualified that I can see God. That is pride. But actually, the qualification to see Krishna is devotion and love, without which, even if the Lord comes in front of us, we will not be able to recognize. Just like in the Mahabharata, if you study, Lord Krishna went as a peace messenger to the court of Dhritarashtra before the battle of Kurukshetra. And he kept a peace proposal on behalf of Pandavas. He said, okay, you don't give half the kingdom, at least give 5 villages to the Pandavas. Now, Duryodhana was so adamant that he was not willing to accept even this proposal. And finally, Duryodhana, what he did was, he ordered his soldiers to capture Krishna and put him in the prison. So, this is the vision of a materialistic person like Duryodhana, one who is not spiritually trained. Even if Krishna comes in front of his eyes, he will only make a material estimation about the form of Krishna. He thought that this Krishna is an ordinary person. He looks like any other ordinary man in this world with 2 hands, 2 legs. He is looking like any one of us. Therefore, just like I have imprisoned so many people before, my enemies, this Krishna also I will imprison and put him behind bars. This was his estimation. But little did he know about the transcendental position of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna displayed his mighty Virat form his universal form in that assembly. Of course, that form is different from what he displayed on the battle of Kurukshetra for Arjuna. Both are different. So then the brilliance of that form was so great that Duryodhana could not even open his eyes properly and look at that form. So Duryodhana's pride was thus crushed by Krishna by displaying his gigantic form. So the point that I'm trying to make is here Narad Muni is saying that I was not able to see the Lord, but I was able to hear to his speech. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that there is no difference between hearing from the Lord and seeing the Lord because the Lord is absolute. The same benefit one gets by hearing to the instructions of the Lord, that one achieves by seeing him face to face. This has to be understood very carefully. The Bhagavad Gita is actually the word spoken by Krishna himself. So anybody with sincerity, with devotion, if one studies these words of Lord Krishna, then one gets the same benefit as Arjuna got by personally hearing the instructions from Krishna, by personally seeing Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So there is no difference between seeing the Lord and hearing from the Lord. That is the uh, that is the meaning of the absolute position of the Lord. So Prabhupada also mentions that just by his breathing, the Supreme Personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas. And thus the Lord is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. So he is perceived through the Vedic injunctions. So if one has to realize the Lord, then one has to accept the instructions of the Lord which are in the form of the Vedas. And these Vedic knowledge, these Vedas are very vast. So the Vedas are actually further explained in the Upanishads. And the knowledge of the Vedas and Upanishads are given in essence in the Bhagavad Gita in just 700 verses. And further, they are expanded and elaborated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is nothing but the natural commentary on the Vedanta. So, just by studying these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, one will have a perfect scientific understanding about the Supreme Lord. Just by studying these two literatures, one will become equipped to be able to perceive the Lord, to be able to see the Lord face to face. That is the greatness of these literatures. And that is why the Lord is referred to as Nabho Lingam, the one who is personified by sound, who can be perceived through the spiritual sound of the Vedas. The transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is also non-different from Krishna. If we chant these holy names, we are directly connecting with Krishna. We are directly touching Krishna. And by chanting these holy names, we develop Krishna Prema, which will enable us to actually perceive the Lord, to actually go back to the Lord. So that is the purpose of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Right? So Bhagavad Gita is a sound representation of the Lord. The holy name of the Lord is also sound representation of the Lord. So therefore, when Narad Muni heard the instructions of the Lord, even though he was not able to see the Lord personally, he got completely enlightened by hearing those words, and he bowed down in great humility. This is very, very important. So, bowing down in front of the Lord is an act of surrendering to the Lord. We have to surrender to the Lord. That is our actual position. In the material world, currently, we are surrendering to so many authorities. We are surrendering to our senses, we are surrendering to our mind, we are surrendering to our friends and relatives, We are surrendering to the our boss in the office. We are surrendering to so many people in this world. But none of this surrender will actually bring us real happiness. If we want to attain real happiness, we have to surrender to the Supreme Lord. And that process of surrendering to the Supreme Lord in a simple manner, we can practice it on a daily basis by just bowing down in front of the Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam says that head which does not bow down in front of the Supreme Lord, even though it may be decorated with silk turban, it is just a burden for the entire body. The head is very heavy if it is actually not bowing down in front of the Lord. Those who are very, very proud, they say, why should I bow down in front of the Lord? I am very powerful, I am very influential. So such people, they are very arrogant, like Duryodhana. They don't want to bow down in front of the Lord, and therefore they become very much influenced by the Maya, the material energy, and they finally meet with destruction. So Narad Muni is teaching us that it is very important that we bow down in front of the Lord. So when we come to the temple of the Lord, there is an opportunity for us to bow down and offer Dandavat Namaskara in front of the Lord. It is mentioned in the scriptures, Krishna Pranami na Punar Bhavaya. Simply by bowing down in front of Lord Krishna's deity in the temple, by offering Sashtanga Namaskara, one can become free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. That is the power of bowing down in front of the Lord. So we have to practice bowing down in front of the Lord, and that will help us to become purified. Let us go to the next shloka, text 26. नामान्यनन्तस्य हतत्र पठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गां पर्यटं स्तुष्टमनागतस्पृहः कालं प्रतीक्षं विमदो विमत्सरः. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Narad Muni continued, thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. Purport. The life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell by Narad Muni by his personal example. Such a devotee, after his initiation by the Lord or his bona fide representative, takes very seriously chanting of the glories of the Lord and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. Such devotees have no desire for material gain. They are conducted by one single desire to go back to Godhead. This awaits them in due course on quitting the material body. Because they have the highest aim of life, going back to Godhead, they are never envious of anyone, nor are they proud of being eligible to go back to Godhead. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord, and, according to personal capacity, to distribute the message for others' welfare, without motive of material gain. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So Narad Muni is saying what happened after that. So he's saying, Namani Anantasya Hatatrapa Pathan. Pathan means recitation. I recited Namani Anantasya. Namani means the holy name, fame, etc. of Anantasya, of the unlimited Lord. Hmm? I constantly chanted the holy names of the Lord. Hatatrapaha. In this way, I became freed from all the formalities of this material world. I was not obliged to anybody, and I was fully free from all the formalities of this world. I was only chanting the holy names of the Lord. Guhyani bhadrani krutani cha smaran. Guhyani means confidential, mysterious. Bhadrani, all beneficial, all benedictory. Kritani, activities. Smaran, constantly I remembered. Not only I chanted the holy names of the Lord, Narad Muni is saying, I constantly uh, repeated and remembered the transcendental leelas of the Lord, which are highly uh, auspicious and benedictory. So, the Krishna has performed various leelas in various incarnations, and all these activities of the Lord have to be constantly chanted, glorified, and heard. Krishna is known as Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. This is one of the names of Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha means about whom hearing and glorifying will bestow the highest punya, highest merit. This is the meaning of Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Whose name, whose activities should be constantly remembered, chanted, and heard, which will bestow the highest punya? That is Krishna. So, simply by hearing about Krishna, simply by chanting his holy names, one can accumulate the highest pious credit. That is why Krishna is known as Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. So, Narad Muni is saying, after being instructed by the Lord in that way, I constantly chanted the holy names of the Lord. I also recited the activities of the Lord, his Leelas, and constantly I was remembering the Leelas of the Lord. And in this way, I became free from all material formalities. Now, this is called liberation. Liberation means to become free from one's bodily identification. Currently, we all think that we are our body. Therefore, we take our bodily necessities to be very important. We prioritize the bodily requirements over everything else in our life. Hmm? So, this is called a material or bodily conception of life. As long as we think that we are this body, we will continue to receive more and more bodies in the repeated cycle of birth and death. Now, to put an end to this birth and death cycle is called liberation. How to become liberated? We can become liberated by constantly surrendering to Krishna in our activities in our daily lives. And this is possible simply by the process of chanting and hearing about the Lord. The more we chant, the more we hear about the Lord, the more we become free from ignorance about our real identity, the more we realize that actually I am not this body, I am a soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna, I have an eternal relationship with Krishna, and this is the beginning of one's spiritual life. So, simply by the process of Shravanam Kirtanam, one can become free from all ignorance and one can attain liberation. So, this boy, even though he was just a 5-year-old boy, he actually became free from all formalities of this material world. In other words, he became free from ignorance, free from material designations, material identification, simply by the process of chanting and hearing about the Lord. And he did not stay in one place. He did not think that I will stay in one place and simply go on chanting and hearing for my own purification. No, he actually started traveling all over the world. So here it is said, Gam Paryatan. Paryatan means to travel all through. Gam means the earth. So I traveled all over the world. Tushtamanaha, with full satisfied mind. I was fully satisfied. That means I had no material hankerings. Now, these are the symptoms of an advanced devotee. As we make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we also will be able to experience these symptoms. We will actually be fully satisfied. Right now, we are full of hankerings, we are full of insecurities. Just imagine a small boy fearlessly traveling all over the world. It's not easy, right? But since he was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, he had complete faith in the Lord's protection, he was fully satisfied, he had no material hankerings. Therefore, he started traveling all over the world. Gatasprihaha, freed from all material desires. This is another symptom. First is Tushtamanaha, fully satisfied. Second is Gatasprihaha, completely freed from all material hankerings and desires. Kalam Pratikshan Vimadaha. So, Vimadaha, this is a third symptom. Mada means pride. Vimada means free from pride, without being proud. Vimatsaraha, this is a fourth symptom. Matsara, Matsarya means envy. Vimatsaraha means freedom from envy. So he said, I was fully satisfied. I was free from all material desires. I became free of proud and misery. And in this way, throughout the world, I was traveling all over the world, simply chanting the glories of the Lord and his holy names. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this is how a pure devotee leads his life. A pure devotee has no desires, personal ambitions for himself. He is fully satisfied. And since he has achieved the complete mercy of the Lord, he doesn't want to restrict that mercy with himself. He wants to spread this mercy, distribute this mercy to everybody in this world. Therefore, he travels all over the world, glorifying the Lord, so that everybody gets an opportunity to hear about the glories of the Lord. In this way, he tries to inspire everybody to become a devotee of the Lord. So, this is a very important quality. A pure devotee does not think that if I go back to Godhead, that is sufficient for me. He never thinks like that. He wants everybody to go back to Godhead because he knows that everybody is suffering in this material world currently because of the bodily conception of life. So he wants to make everybody eligible to go back to Godhead. Therefore, he goes on chanting the holy names of the Lord so that everybody gets to hear and they also become devotees of the Lord. This is the greatest welfare activity that anyone can do to the humanity. Many times we think, you know, why in ISKCON, why in Krishna consciousness movement, there are no philanthropic activities performed. Why this devotees are not, you know, constructing, some, roads or doing some public welfare activities, orphanages, and all of that. Why we are not into all that thing? Yeah, that is also good. There is no doubt about it. That is also a welfare activity, social service. That's very nice. And in fact, there are thousands of organizations who are engaged in all such uh, socially welfare activities. But that is not going to really benefit the soul. Our movement, our organization, the way Srila Prabhupada has designed it based on the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis, it is simply based on the fact that we have to give spiritual benefit to everybody in this world. Material benefit, many people may give, but spiritual benefit, not everyone understands. Actually, we are all stuck in the cycle of birth and death. We are in the material world, away from our original home. And the more you try to improve your material conditions in this world and think that I am satisfied, the more we are advancing in ignorance. Real help is to bring everyone to the light of knowledge that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We can be most happy only by engaging in Krishna's service. These are all the confidential instructions that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. And only by this kind of engagement in devotional service, we can actually escape the miserable material existence. So, our movement is aimed at helping people become free from the material conception of life, helping human beings to attain Krishna consciousness so that they can once for all escape the material cycle of birth and death and go back to Krishna. So, our process is to elevate everybody back home, back to Godhead. That is our process. So, that is the highest welfare activity, that is the greatest philanthropic activity. No doubt, Annadana, Vastradana, Vidyadana, so many danas can be done. These are all there. These are all important, no doubt. They all have their own place. But giving Krishna bhakti, Krishna consciousness, awakening this Krishna consciousness in others is actually the highest public welfare activity, highest charity, highest dana. This is what our movement is aimed at. So, this we have to understand very carefully. Another point that Prabhupada mentions in the purport is that here one word Narad Muni mentions. He says, Kalam Pratikshan. So while he was actually traveling all over the world, chanting the holy names, spreading the glories of the Lord, he was actually pratiksham. He was waiting for the right time. When will the Lord call me back? So this is the mood of a devotee. While he is engaged in Krishna's service in the material world, he is waiting. I will continue to render service to the Lord. If the Lord wants me to stay in the material world forever, I don't mind. I'll continue to render service to the Lord here. But I will wait for the Lord to call me back. Because only when the Lord calls me back, I can go. But for that, I should become eligible to go back to Godhead. Then the Lord will call, definitely. So, how to become eligible to go back to Godhead? By constantly engaging in the service of the Lord here in the material world. When we constantly render service to the Lord while we are in the material world and we wait for the Lord's mercy, we will become eligible to go back to Godhead, and in due course of time, we will go back to Godhead. So that is the point. Prabhupada says a pure devotee, he has the highest aim in life. Everybody has some aim in life, isn't it? I want to become a millionaire. I want to become a very influential social media influencer. I want to become a very good politician. Like this, people have a lot of goals and aspirations in life. But the highest goal and aspiration that one can develop in human life is the desire to go back to Godhead, desire to go back to Krishna. So, therefore, a pure devotee is the one who is the most ambitious in this world. A devotee of the Lord is the most ambitious because his goal is far, far superior to any other material goals and aspirations in this world. So he wants to go back to Krishna. And who can go back to Krishna? One quality is one should be non envious of anybody. Paramo nirmatsaranam satam. In the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva mentions this. This Bhagavatam will help you to become free from all kinds of envy, which is actually the qualification required to go back to Krishna. And the Bhagavatam can be relished thoroughly only by those souls who have become free from matsarya, free from envy. As long as we maintain envy towards any jiva, it means that we are actually envious of Krishna. And because of this, we will not be able to relish the leelas of the Lord as described in the Bhagavatam. Right? So therefore, we must become free from envy. That is a very important qualification. How to become free from envy? By serving the devotees of the Lord without reservation. We can become free from envy. There is no other way. We have to serve the devotees of the Lord. We must not see the devotees of the Lord from a material angle. Oh, we may be more qualified materially than the devotees. Oh, why should I serve a devotee? He is less qualified than me. This should not be the mood. Oh, I am a double degree holder. Oh, this devotee is just a graduate, or he may not even have studied properly. So, but I am very qualified. No, that should not be the mood. When we see the devotee of the Lord, we should always see. Prabhupada says we should not see the devotee through our eyes, but we should see the devotee through our ears. When a devotee speaks, he speaks only about Krishna. He speaks about our real welfare of how to become a devotee of the Lord. So that is the way to see the Lord through the ears. So we should not, we should actually overlook the material imperfections of a devotee. This is also mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. We should never see a devotee of the Lord from a material point of view. Oh, this devotee belongs to such and such country, such and such part of the country, such and such community. All these are material designations. We should not see a devotee through these material perspectives, but we should see him as a representative of the Lord, and we should, without reservation, we should be ready to render service to the devotee of the Lord. And in that way, we can become free from envy, and that pleases the Lord very much. More than directly trying to serve Krishna, if we try to serve the sincere devotees of Krishna, Krishna becomes very, very pleased, right? That is how we can become free from envy towards the jivas and towards the Lord. Let's go to the 27th shloka. एवं कृष्णमतेर्ब्रह्मन् नासक्तस्यामलात्मनः कालः प्रादुरभूत्काले तडित्सौदामनी यथा. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Narad Muni continued, and so, O Brahmana Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. To be fully absorbed in the thought of Krishna means clearance of material dirts or hankerings. As a very rich man has no hankerings for small petty things, so also a devotee of Lord Krishna, who is guaranteed to pass on to the kingdom of God, where life is eternal, fully cognizant, and blissful, naturally has no hankerings for petty material things, which are like dolls or shadows of reality and are without permanent value. That is the sign of spiritually enriched persons. And in due course of time, when a pure devotee is completely prepared, all of a sudden the change of body occurs, which is commonly called death. And for the pure devotee, such death takes place. For a pure devotee, such a change takes place exactly like lightning, and illumination follows simultaneously. That is to say, a devotee simultaneously changes his material body and develops a spiritual body by the will of the Supreme. Even before death, a pure devotee has no material affection due to his body's being spiritualized like a red hot iron in contact with fire. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So Narad Muni is saying, Evam Krishnamater Brahman. Brahman refers to O Brahmana Vyasadeva. Evam, in this way, Krishnamatehe. I was fully absorbed in thinking about Krishna. Krishnamati, very important. Actually, Prabhupada has coined this term Krishna consciousness from a beautiful phrase mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. This is the phrase. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. Mati means consciousness. Hmm? Krishna Bhakti means service to Krishna. Krishna Bhakti Rasa. There is a rasa in the service to Krishna. Rasa means a particular taste, a mellow. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita. Bhavita means one who has perceived it, one who is enjoying it, one who has experienced it. This is called Bhavita. That Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita, one who has actually experienced the pure taste of service to Krishna, and one who has that consciousness, he is called a devotee of the Lord. A devotee of the Lord is one whose consciousness is always imbued with relishing the sweetness, the taste of service to Krishna constantly. He is called a devotee of the Lord. So, Rupa Goswami has used this very beautiful Sanskrit phrase, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi. And Srila Prabhupada has translated this entire phrase into English as Krishna consciousness. We have to become Krishna conscious. That means we have to come to a stage of constantly relishing the sweet taste of service to Krishna. That is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. So here, Narada Muni is saying, in my past life, Krishna Mate, hey, Krishna Mate, I became fully absorbed in thinking about Krishna. You know, now we are fully absorbed in so many topics in the material world. Every time there is a breaking news in the media, everybody starts talking about it. Everybody starts thinking, paying attention to those breaking news, current affairs. So our mind, our consciousness is absorbed in all of these things. Oh, somebody died in air crash recently, few months, few days, few weeks ago. There was a massive air crash. So many people died, and for many days together, people are only talking about that. That means our matihi, our consciousness, is fully absorbed in those particular topics. Now, we have to take out our mind from all these material topics and fix in Krishna. That is the meaning of Krishna Matihi. Now, that is not very difficult because if we are trained in Krishna conscious philosophy, any topic of this world can be perceived through the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, right? Any particular topic under the sky, we can comment upon it from Krishna conscious point of view. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Just like Krishna is all pervading, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is also all pervading. So we have to train ourselves to see things in this world through the angle of Krishna conscious philosophy. Then we can always be Krishna conscious, Krishna Matihi. Nothing can be seen, nothing should be seen as disconnected from Krishna. Everything can be seen, everything should be seen as connected with Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. We see the birds chirping in the morning, we hear. Now, how do we connect that with Krishna? Right? We can say how Krishna's beauty, Krishna's nature, creation is so beautiful. The birds are producing such sweet sound. If ordinary birds of this world can produce such sweet sound, then how would the sound of Krishna's flute be in the spiritual world? And there is a description of this in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. When Krishna would go to the Vamshi Vata in Vrindavan on the banks of Yamuna, he would stand there in Tribhanga position and he would play on his flute. Then the whole Vrindavan atmosphere would become surcharged with spiritual vibrations of his flute. And in fact, not only the earthly planet, in fact, even the heavenly planet, the Devatas would get charmed by the sweet flute played by Krishna. And Lord Shiva would hear this flute of Krishna and he would become ecstatic and he would start performing Tandava dance. And all the Apsaras would dance, all the Devatas would rejoice. And on the earthly planet, all the trees and plants which would not move would start moving in ecstasy. All the animals and birds which generally move would become stunned by hearing the transcendental flute vibration of Krishna. So, you see, we may hear the birds chirping, we can immediately connect with Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's playing his flute. Now, in this way, everything should be connected with Krishna, and that is called Krishna Matihi. We have to develop this way. This is called Shastra Chakshuhu, seeing everything through the eyes of the scripture. When we train ourselves in this way, then not even for a moment we can forget Krishna. Everything in this world, anything can be connected with Krishna. So therefore he's saying, I became fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna. Evam Krishnamater Brahman na saktasya amalatmanaha na asaktasya. Uh, I became detached from everything in this world because I became Krishnamatehe. Unless you become attached to something higher, you cannot develop detachment towards lower things. This is what Krishna mentions in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Rasopyasya rasavarjam param drishtva nivartate. So only by giving up lower taste, or only when we develop attachment for higher taste, we can give up lower taste. So he says, because I was Krishna Matehe, fully absorbed in Krishna, thinking about Krishna, very easily I developed detachment from everything in this material world. And I became Amala Atmanaha. Mala means contamination, dirt. Amala means freedom from dirt, freedom from material consciousness, freedom from material contamination. Amala Atmanaha means one who is completely free from all material dirt. Actually, the Bhagavatam third canto, 15th chapter, describes the position of the Vaikuntha-vasis, the residents of the spiritual world. There, the same phrase is used. All the residents of Vaikuntha, they are Amalatmanaha. They are completely freed from all dirt pertaining to material consciousness. That means, what is the dirt which is actually contaminating the soul currently? That mala is nothing but kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and illusion. Now, when we become free from these six dirts, we become amalatmanaha. And how to become amalatmanaha? Only by developing Krishna Mati, by developing Krishna consciousness, we can become free from all these material contaminations, and we can develop the qualification required to associate with Krishna personally. If we want to become a personal associate of Krishna like Narad Muni, we should also come to the same stage of consciousness as Krishna. Krishna is completely pure. He is free from all material contamination. So if we want to become one of his associates, then we also should become free from all these contaminations. Only then Krishna will admit us into his personal association. Therefore, Krishna consciousness process is that purifying process which will enable us to become a associate of Krishna in the spiritual world like Narad Muni, by making us free from all mala, all material contaminations which we have accumulated over a period of millions of lifetimes of our stay in this material world. And then what Narad Muni says is, Kala pradurabhut kale tadit saudamini yatha. Kalaha means death. Pradurabhut became visible. Kale in due course of time. So in due course of time, I met with death. Narad Muni is saying, in my past life, I actually, when I became fully Krishna conscious, I was wandering all over the world, chanting the glories of the Lord, and I had become free of all material dirt by this Krishna consciousness. And at such a time, I met my death. All of us have met death many times in this world, not just once. Many times we have taken birth, many times we have died, just that we have forgotten, because at the time of death, everything is erased from our memory, whatever is pertaining to our past life. So, we have to understand from the scriptures that we have been taking birth many times, we have also died many times. What's the difference between death of a pure devotee and death of an ordinary person who is materially absorbed? Both appear to be dying in the same process, through the same process. No, everybody dies in the same way. Maybe the circumstances are different. Somebody may die with because of diseases, somebody may die because of accidents, somebody may die because of so many other things. But Prabhupada gives a very nice example how a devotee and a non devotee, how they die. What is the difference between the two? Prabhupada gives the example. Suppose there is a mother cat. The mother cat, as soon as she gives birth to the kittens, she becomes very apprehensive about their safety. So, what she does is she actually takes her kittens from place to place. She keeps changing the places from one place to another place. So, and the kittens cannot walk because they're very little ones. So, what she does is she catches hold of the baby kittens uh, with her mouth. She catches hold of the kittens near the neck, and one by one she transports the kittens from one place to another place, isn't it? Now, the same cat, when it kills a rat, after killing the rat, or even before that, sometimes, when the rat is still half living, half dead, that time also the cat catches hold of the rat in the same position near its neck with his mouth, with its mouth. So externally both look the same, isn't it? Cat carrying the kittens and cat carrying the rat. Position wise it is same, process is the same, both look same from external point of view. But what is the experience of the rat and the kittens? For the kittens, when they are carried like that by the mother cat, they are filled with love and affection. They feel secure and safe and happy, comfortable, isn't it? Oh, my mother is caring for me. She's taking me to a safer place. So they feel so happy. But for the rat, it is death personified. There is so much of fear and anxiety in the mind of the rat when the cat is carrying the rat that way. So we cannot simply externally see something and understand. More importantly, the consciousness of the persons involved gives us the full picture of the reality. So, for the rat, it is death personified, full of fear and anxiety. For the kittens, it is love, affection, and comfort, isn't it? In the same way, for our external vision, both a devotee and a non devotee may pass away, may die in a similar circumstance, but there is a great gulf of difference between their consciousness. For a materialistic person, he is only going to be taken by the Yamadutas for further punishment, and then again, after the punishment is over, again they have to take birth in some species of life based on their karma. So it is just a dangerous condition awaiting for them after death. Because materialistic people are not Krishna conscious, therefore they have to perform sinful activities. Even for their daily maintenance, they perform so many times knowingly, unknowingly, sinful activities. So they have to suffer. But for a devotee, it's not like that. A devotee, even though he is not fully mature in Krishna consciousness, he is assured of birth in a favorable circumstance in human life, in the next life, so that he can continue his spiritual journey where he left off previously. And what to speak of a pure devotee who has attained complete perfection in Krishna consciousness? For such a person, death is nothing but a gateway to the spiritual world. That's why we celebrate the disappearance day of the Acharyas. Disappearance day of the Acharyas is celebrated because the pure devotee has attained perfection, the Acharya has attained perfection, and he has gone back to the spiritual world into the eternal association of the Lord. Of course, disappearance day gives pain to the devotees because The physical presence of that devotee in this material world becomes unmanifest, but it is also a matter of joy and celebration because he has entered Vaikuntha, he has entered the personal association of the Lord. So, therefore, there is nothing to be lamented about the disappearance or death of a pure devotee because death is nothing but a change of body, even for ordinary people. And for pure devotee, death is nothing but a change from material body to the spiritual body and entry into the spiritual world, into the personal association of Krishna. So therefore, here it is Narad Muni is using a wonderful analogy. How did death come about him? How did he perceive death? Tadit Saudamani Yatha. Tadit means lightning. Saudamani means illuminating Yatha. So just like lightning and illumination occur simultaneously, I met with death. So that means when in the rainy season, no, there is lightning, and whenever there is lightning, there is a illumination also. It appears that for few seconds, as though it has become daytime, even though it is night, isn't it? When there is lightning, that means uh, death of a pure devotee is what? It is simultaneous giving up of the material body and acceptance of a spiritual body which is suitable for him to go back to the spiritual world and serve the Lord. Right? That is why it is said the death of a pure devotee is compared to the simultaneous appearance of lightning and illumination. That means uh, for the materialistic people, death is nothing but degradation into lower species of life because he has not, such materialistic people do not use the valuable human form of life to elevate, to become a devotee. So therefore, they have missed the golden opportunity to elevate. So they get degraded to the lower species of life. They enter into darkness. But for a pure devotee who has attained perfection in Krishna consciousness, death leads to illumination. Death leads to the spiritual world, and they go back to the spiritual world, assuming their original spiritual form in which they constitutionally render their service to the Supreme Lord. And they get admittance into the eternal life full of knowledge and bliss. So, therefore, for a pure devotee, there is no fear of death at all. For a pure devotee, death is nothing but a gateway to Vaikuntha, isn't it? So, last point, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, even before death, a pure devotee has no material affection due to his body's being spiritualized like a red hot iron in contact with fire. This is one of the commonly used examples by Srila Prabhupada. When iron rod is kept in fire, because of the association of the fire, the iron rod becomes heated up and it becomes red hot. And at one point of time, it is no more an ordinary iron rod, but it acts like fire itself because of its contact with fire. Anything it touches, it simply burns, isn't it? So, in the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord, because of his constant absorption in Krishna consciousness, in thoughts of Krishna, Krishna Matihi, he becomes free from all kinds of material affection. In other words, because of constant touch with Krishna, he becomes Krishnaized. He becomes eligible to go back to the association of Krishna. So the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is actually meant to make us Krishnaized. If you nicely chant and hear attentively, soulfully, then you become eligible to go back to Krishna. So that is the point. So here Narad Muni is saying how he met his death in his past life, and we will see in the coming shlokas what actually happened after his death. That's very interesting. What actually happened to him after death? How did he go to the spiritual world? What happened to him there? And all these things we shall be discussing in the coming session. Thank you for your valuable time. We shall close here. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय विश्व गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण
जय